operating expenses, which is the recommended minimum by the Government Finance Officers Association for counties. Okay. Total adjustments for the other funds is approximately $7.6 million, which includes $1.9 million in grant reconciliation adjustments, approximately $8 million in beginning fund balance adjustments for revenues that exceeded actual expenditures, more than we projected in fiscal year 2024. It includes an increase in infrastructure sales tax revenues over projections, which resulted in additional funding. It's been allocated for a sheriff's warehouse and machinery and equipment for fleet and fire services. And we have about $417,000 in other adjustments that are primarily related to final property values and ALS adjustments from the final property values, and updates for personal services. All right, I will turn it over to the chairman to open the public hearing.
All right, we'll open the public hearing. Is there anyone in the audience that wishes to speak about this budget amendment? Seeing none, we'll bring it back to the board. Oh, online. Do we have someone?
Yes, there's one person online, Eric Portnoy. You should be able to unmute your mic and please state your name and comments to the board. Eric, your mic is muted. You may have to unmute your mic.
There we go. Eric Portnoy, thank you for taking my call. I apologize. I had some technical difficulties earlier this morning. I'm calling in to see if tab 3 was approved.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes? Okay. Thank you so much. Thank you for your time.
Okay. Any other? Okay. All right, then we'll bring it back.
Yeah, I just want to make an announcement. You know, it may sound kind of weird to some of the people that we're going through mid-year adjustments, and that's because we're on a fiscal year, not a calendar year. Just to make that clear to everybody out there that this is a mid-year adjustment, but we actually started in September. October, yeah, October.
October 1st.
So,
Okay.
just to clarify that for people.
All right, do we have a motion?
And with that, I'd like to make a motion that we approve.
Okay. Do we have a second?
Second.
All right, all in favor, say aye.
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 Okay,
Thank you.
moving along then to tab 17. This is recommend approval and adoption of an ordinance amending section 10.01.03 in chapter 2 Lake County Code Appendix E Land Development Regulations entitled Accessory Dwelling Units and Definitions, and section 22-14 Lake County Code entitled Refund of Impact Fees Paid.
Okay, this will be an ordinance of the Board of County Commissioners of Lake County, Florida, amending the following sections of the Lake County Code, Appendix E, Land Development Regulations, Chapter 2, entitled Definitions, Section 10.01.03, entitled Accessory Dwelling Units, clarifying the definition of an accessory dwelling unit, amending Section 22-11 Lake County Code, entitled Waiver or Deferral of Impact Fees in Accessory Dwelling Units, removing provisions for waivers, amending Section 22-14 Lake County Code, entitled Refund of Impact Fees Paid, providing for a refund if a primary structure is demolished after construction of an accessory dwelling unit, providing for severability, providing for inclusion in the code, providing for filing with Department of State, and providing for an effective date. If you choose to approve this today, it'll become ordinance 2025-4.
All right, we'll open it up to the public. Is there anyone here that wishes to speak about this ordinance amendment? Anyone online? We'll bring it back to the board. We need a motion for approval.
Motion to approve. Second.
All right, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, moving along then to tab 18. Fred Schneider, Assistant County Attorney, will present this request for vacation of a platted park. A little tiny platted park.
Good morning, Fred Schneider, Assistant County Manager. This is vacation petition 1301. The petitioner is James Panico, registered agent Pandevco, represented by Ray Braddock, PKA Orlando. The area is in Mount Plymouth area of Lake County, Commission District 4. This is in the area, the roads within Mount Plymouth. This map Mount Plymouth was platted, I think, around 1926, so the plat's about 100 years old. The golf course that was there went defunct about 15 years ago. And developers come in and been approved for single-family home lots on the old golf course. So what's taken place is 1974, when the golf course was still operating, they vacated the road right-of-way that went through the golf course, which you can see up closer in the upper left inset. And then there was a little triangle piece right next to Prestwick Avenue, which was a platted park from 1926 or 4, whenever it was platted. So that wasn't vacated at the time. But the developer is requesting the board to consider vacation of that area right now. According to the county attorney, her opinion on this is that the public interest in the park could be vacated. But like other parts of a vacated plat, the residents who bought under the plat may still have private rights to the park area. But so the request would be to vacate the public interest in the park. It's about 1,200 square feet. So it's not significant. We spoke with Office of Parks and Trails. They didn't have any concerns or issues. We haven't received any objections or anything like that we've had some calls from residents, but no objections. The reason I talk about this one a little more than other ones is I can't recall another public park that has come to the board for requesting vacation. I've been doing this for 8 years, and I can't remember one before that, so this is kind of unique. But that's the area there, and the area in the hatched area was vacated previously in 1974, and then the little triangle area in between the right-of-ways is being requested for proposed vacation. So staff recommends approval of the vacation.
So I did get an email from someone in that area that did not think it should be vacated for the benefit of the developer. So I just wanted to make that known. I don't know if you all received that as well. My issue is mainly the fact that when this was rezoned to PUD, when Fred referred to they've got approvals, we went through a lot of conditions that the developer was supposed to adhere to. And I feel like, none of those things have come to fruition as far as road improvements, traffic calming, and the people in the community are very frustrated by that. So I don't want to muddy the waters here. If this little triangle piece that's going to somehow require county maintenance and then create problems for the public to take care of this, I feel like it's probably in the public's interest to get rid of it, but I want to state on the record that I wish the developer would uphold the things that he said he would do out there. There was an old clubhouse that they had to do some testing on, and they had to remediate, and there's holes, and there's like ATVs that ride out there. It's just like ongoing problem in the community, and we can't get the developer to be active in his enforcement of not letting the ATVs ride all through the area. So, and I don't know, I had asked Melanie a while back about, what, if anything, we could do. Did we have any recourse? Because we did approve the PUD. Could we force them to? But I think the improvements were tied to them actually developing lots, and they haven't done that yet. And Fred's shaking his head because they haven't developed lots. Now, will this little triangle, if it's vacated, turn into a part of private property? It'll become, so the road was vacated, so this will be a lot, like part of a lot?
I didn't look into it that far, but it wouldn't be in the county's public interest any longer. So it could be open area. I don't recall where it is within that PUD, is what I'm saying. I don't know what they've got in line for that particular area. But it could be part of a retention pond, it could be, part of a lot.
I would think with the private rights that still arguably exist, even if you vacate it, that you might not be able to make it a lot, because that might create a title problem for somebody buying it. So maybe it just would become, like you said, part of a retention area or something like that.
So I think this may be a question for Melanie. Can we make a decision on this based on if the developer follows through with his previous commitments?
Historically, we have not conditioned vacation petitions. I'd have to look into it. You could certainly postpone it. We could pull the PUD and look at what they were supposed to do and the timing of it, if you'd like to do that. It's possible that we had our 3-year requirement that they have to start construction within 3 years in that PUD. But as I had sent out to all of you, I think a month or so ago, with the consistent state of emergency extensions that we have in Florida statutes, they've probably repeatedly asked for extensions, which really sort of decimates our ability to get rid of PUDs that aren't moving forward. But if you would like to postpone it, you can postpone it to the next meeting or another date certain, and then we could pull that PUD and bring you back more information.
And since they applied, couldn't we, as part of this postponement, say, developer, can we please sit down and talk to you about these things that you were going to do that haven't been done?
So I would like to make a motion that we postpone this, that we table this until, not yet. I'd like to make a motion that we table this until the next meeting.
Okay, and I believe we have the developer owner here.
Maybe, but we got a motion on the table.
We do, but I think it's in everyone's best interest to hear what he has to say.
Then we need a second, and he can do it during discussion.
Okay, do we have a second? Second. All right, we have a second. So during discussion, we're going to have the developer give us his thoughts on this.
And before he comes up, when you say the next meeting, are you talking about February 4th, which is your rezoning meeting, or do you want it, your regular board meeting on the 11th?
The next board meeting,
The 4th?
the next one, we're together.
Okay.
Question for county attorney. Would we have to re-advertise?
The legislature added language a year or so ago, I think, maybe 2 sessions ago, where as long as it's done to a date certain, you do not have to re-advertise.
Okay, and then we have, staff brought up a copy of the PUD, so that area falls within 2 platted lot areas. So. Right, Ken? Show me again where that is. Oh, right here. Yeah, it shows on their PUD that area is going to be between 2 lots, but the public right-of-way doesn't show on their approved PUD, so.
Fred, can you put that on the screen?
This is, this may be the construction plans, so
We can't see it.
that's not working. Okay, there's no screen
Here
operating.
it goes. Oh, well, it's up there.
Can you pull it up on the individual monitors, please, Eric?
Okay, so this is Englewood Street, which comes in right here. So on the other side would be the park. So right here, where the island is supposed to be installed for traffic calming, right in this area, is where that platted park is. Did you see what I was pointing at?
Mm-hmm.
Right here. So probably something like that.
And what is that, a retention?
Those are what you have here is you have a swale
Easements.
down into a retention,
So yes, retention, right?
yeah, right here. I can't zoom in and out. I don't know if this is working, but that's like a swale that drains on down to the stormwater pond. Backyard swales.
And Fred, could you just show again, one more time, where the triangle is that, on that one? No, I'm sorry. Yeah, on the one
Okay,
that's
on
up.
here?
Yeah,
That would be right here.
and it's about that size, where you're,
That's, yeah.
okay.
So the developer has some insight to help us with navigating the situation? Because we get complaints all the time about the fact that when the remediation was done out there on the old clubhouse, that it was never cleaned up, and there's big holes, and the people ride the ATVs all over the place, and it creates havoc for the neighborhood. And then residents ask me, why hasn't the traffic calming been constructed per our condition in the PUD? And maybe you can help us.
Well, first of all, I'm Ray Braddock, 1137 Edgewater Drive, Orlando, Florida. Chairman Champion, we've been working on this project for 10 years. That's how long it's been going. As far as us working to help alleviate the residents, we had a meeting, in fact, last week with the Sheriff's Department, trying to deal with the four-wheelers and the dirt bikes. We posted no trespassing signs. They've tried to control it. It's hard to control what's happening all over that area in the old lake bed of Mount Plymouth Lake. That's another popular place that they go to. So what we worked out with the Sheriff's Department last week is we posted no trespassing signs, but they say the no trespassing signs only give them the right to cite somebody, and if they can catch them. So what we've agreed to now is we're going to convert the no trespassing signs to construction zone no trespassing, because then they can actually confiscate the motorcycle, because that's a felony, not a misdemeanor. Trespassing is a misdemeanor. So the Sheriff's Department is working out the proper signage and notification, that we have to give on the signs to make sure they adhere to the law. We're going to post the signs. They have to be within 500 feet of each other. So we're going to post them around the total perimeter of the project. As far as why the project has taken so long, it's because of the mitigation we had to do for the arsenic that was on the property originally. We spent in excess of $800,000 remediating the arsenic that was on that site. It was very difficult. It took years and years to get the Department of Environmental Protection to approve and clear everything through the state. Now that's done. Construction will start within the next couple months on the site improvements, which will include the paving of Exmoor all the way from 435 to Saxamaxon. It'll include all the traffic calming devices that were approved. As far as this park is concerned, nobody has figured out why that triangle was put there back in 1923 when the plat was recorded. Maybe it was a entrance sign monument or something that went there originally, but there's nothing there at this point. As far as what will happen with that area, that 1,200 feet, as part of the platting of the lots, the county is requiring additional 8 feet of right-of-way to be dedicated. So 8 feet of that park will become county right-of-way. The back of those lots has a landscape buffer requirement because because when we went through the PUD, that was a double frontage lot. And as part of the conditions, we had to make sure nobody could have a driveway coming off of Prestwick. The drive has to come off from the north. So another 10 feet of that old park will become a landscape buffer. And so what's left after all of this is done of that 1,200 feet, that will become, it'll be on one lot itself. There's only one lot that the triangle actually ends up in. There's only like 300 or 400 square feet left after all that dedication is done. So I would like to see us get this thing processed so we can get moving. I've met with the residents out there. I'm in very good communication with Joanne Maynard and the rest of the association out there. They were at the meeting we had last week. They know we're trying to help them. And as soon as we can get the construction underway, then those borrow areas that we had to use in order to do the mitigation for the for the arsenic, will then be converted in part of the stormwater system. So they'll be graded. You'll have construction going on out there at that time. There'll be a lot of activity that will then reduce the probability of people wanting to be out there riding on that. I mean, it's an ideal spot. And the people that use those things are trying to find places where they can go out and play around on the weekends and after work. But once we get the thing under construction, which this will help do to get this park vacated, we can then turn that into what it was supposed to be, which is, a subdivision, which was approved.
Okay. That is really helpful, and this is really good news, because this has kind of been a thorn in my side for a while because it's dragged on for so long, and glad to hear that you got your remediation finally.
I mean, it was one of the hardest projects I've ever had to try to get approved as far as through this. Nobody had any idea the depth of what that arsenic did because of those sandy soils. Generally, arsenic only goes down 3 or 4 feet. We had areas 23 and 24 feet deep that we had to excavate, mix all that material, and then spread it back around. So that's why the time delay in getting the remediation done happened. We should have been constructed and gone 3 years ago.
Well, I'm so glad to hear that Exmoor is going to be paved and traffic calming is going to be added.
It's all going to go in. We just got to this is our last piece because we need it in order to record the plats. That vacation needs to happen. I'd hate to see a delay in this. We've been.
So thank you very much. Appreciate your input. Very helpful. I'm wondering if the commissioner who made the motion and the second, if we might.
Yeah, we got a motion and a second to table. All it's got to do is fail, and then another motion to approve it.
All right, well, all in favor of the motion, say aye. All opposed, say aye.
Aye.
All right, now we need another motion.
Then I'll go ahead and make a motion that, on the information we just heard, that I'll make a motion that we approve the vacation.
We have a second?
Second.
All right, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Passes unanimously. Thank you. Appreciate it.
Madam Chair, if I could really quick, just a shout out. We have a new employee that I know is in right of way, Eric White. Eric White is right there. I just happen to, point of privilege here, I guess, just have known him as an intern and then working diligently around the county. So he's involved with right of way, and I think you were probably involved with this case. So yeah, so I thank you for allowing me to do that, but I just wanted to congratulate him. Welcome to the county.
Thank you, appreciate it. Other business, tab 19, request approval to reappoint members to the P&Z Board representing Lake County School District to serve a term ending January 31st, 2029, and that would be Molly Cunningham and Bill Mathias as the alternative school board representative.
Move approval.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Tab 20, request approval to appoint a member to the Affordable Housing Advisory Committee to serve terms as indicated below, a resident who is actively engaged as a real estate professional in connection with affordable housing, and that would be Vivienne Cunningham, the term would end 11/30/26.
Move approval.
Second?
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Then board discussion, this is the request to reappoint Gary Cooney, Lake County Clerk of the Circuit Court and Comptroller, and Alan Hayes, Lake County Supervisor of Elections, to serve on the Sales Tax Oversight Advisory Committee. And as you know, this is a committee that we have to set up every year to look over the applications that come in from the cities. Typically, the role of that committee is to make sure that it complies with the requirements of the sales tax rules. Not whether it's necessarily a great project or not, it's does it comply and what has to be done to make it comply. That's my experience with that.
Move to approve.
I'll second.
All in favor, say aye. Aye. All right. Tab 22, request appointment of a commissioner to the lead board of directors to fill a one-year term. And I was going to recommend that Commissioner Morris take.
I'll make that motion.
I'll second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye. Thank you.
Regular agenda, tab 23, Jeff Earhart, Public Works Engineering Director, to go over resolution supporting Lake County list of projects to be included in the Lake Sumter MPO list of priority projects.
Good morning, Commissioners. Fred Schneider, Assistant County Manager. I'll cover an initial part of the presentation, and then Jeff Earhart is going to follow up with the list of priority projects that we request the board to send to the MPO for future funding. So one of the things that we want to do today is talk about county road asset, our capital program, operations and maintenance, revenue sources, and our work program. And about 3 years ago, I gave a more in-depth presentation on transportation funding and our roadway assets. So there's a couple slides that I've updated from then. But typically, when we talk about road construction and maintenance, they are core functions of county government, and the Public Works Department is responsible for the planning, construction, and maintenance of the county road infrastructure. So some of you have seen this slide before. Our Lake County roadway asset, I've been updated a little bit. It was from Tavares to Boston. Now it's from Tavares to north side of Boston. But we've got about 1,291 road miles, and converted to lane miles, that's 2,800. So a 4-lane road, a mile of that is 4 lane miles. To give you an idea of what we're talking about, lane miles. So the bigger number just tells you how many lanes that you have in miles. Some of the things that we do, road maintenance elements, pavement, shoulders, our clay roads, we've got 100 miles of those, curbs, stormwater system, sidewalks, guardrail, our bridges, mowing, tree trimming, traffic signals. This is a list of the roadway asset: asphalt, 1,269 miles, tar and gravel, concrete, clay, well, about 110 miles. Traffic signals, we maintain 233 traffic signals. Got over 38,000 traffic signs, 27 bridges. About 18 of those are what you think of as normal bridges over waterways and those kind of things. And then there's some other ones that are very large culvert systems, and depending on the size of the culvert and the width of them and where they're located, they also are classified as bridges by Federal Highway Administration. All our bridges are inspected on a regular basis through the Florida DOT program, and so we get those reports regularly from them. We've got 240 miles of sidewalks and 20 miles of guardrail, if you put those end to end. On the right is a 455 extension, Ray Goodgame Parkway. We're just finishing up another segment of 4-lane of it. And then on the photo below is Schofield Road in Wellness Way area. That was open to traffic, and it's got a lot of traffic just seemingly overnight. We'll be going down to look at that, Commissioner. On our capital program, the Transportation Construction Program is our 5-year work program. So it's adopted annually in September, and it has the capacity projects, which is construction of new road alignments, adding lanes to existing roads, intersection improvements, anything that would add capacity to a roadway or segment of roadway, or adding a new highway or roadway is a capacity project. And then safety projects is our sidewalks, signals, guardrails, those kind of things. We do also, we have multi-use trails in that work program. And the funding sources for that are the transportation impact fees, sales tax, and FDOT grants. And then on the right, you see North Hancock Road in that photo at 561A. Like many of our, I would say probably all of our 4-lane roads, new roads that we've built, new alignments were public-private partnerships. So that one there was a public-private partnership with Del Webb for the first segment going north of 561A. And that was completed a year ago. And then the next segment currently is under construction on a public-private partnership with the Sugarloaf DRI, Sugarloaf Development. And that segment of road was bid by them at $20 million. We received $2 million for legislative appropriation from the DOT to finish the trail up from North Hancock Road over Sugarloaf to 455 that's going to tie into the scenic overlook. And so the other $18 million is going to be transportation impact fee credits. So a lot of these roads, and we require them to donate the right-of-way. So they donate the land, they donate the stormwater ponds, and it's sort of a partnership, a 50-50. Then we'll give them credits for design, engineering, construction, permitting, and that kind of thing. But it'd be a lot more cost if we had to go the other route of purchasing right-of-ways. But it's a win-win for both. They get what their development is. They're currently in the city of Mineola, by the way. So they're in the city of Mineola along with Del Webb. Those are city development approved projects. And then as far as operations and maintenance, that's public works operations, traffic operations, engineering involved in that. It's maintenance of traffic signals, sidewalks, clay roads, shoulders, tree trimming, striping and signage, roadway surface. And it involves engineering, our road resurfacing program, and we also have our construction group does this contract bidding, inspection, administration, and that's funded from gas tax, sales tax, transportation impact fee, which is used for design and project management of road capacity projects. General fund was provided toward the resurfacing program beginning fiscal year 22. And so on revenue sources, you've seen this slide a few years ago. I'll just go over it briefly again. So those are our typical, or those are our revenue sources that we've had. And what I did is I gave you a 30-year shot at 1994 to 2004 because I have an explanation I want to follow with this. But the gas taxes, which is Transportation Trust Fund, that's in the blue. You can see how it's fairly steady. MSTU roads, that's the roads, parks, stormwater MSTU. That's not the MSTU that was being discussed earlier. But that's a county-wide MSTU, and it was used briefly in 2007 to 2010, and then again this year there was 500,000 of it put into road resurfacing. We had a resurfacing loan that was in 2020, 2021, $5 million. It was $10 million. We spent $5 million each year. Ad valorem, which is recently, as I mentioned, is starting in 2022. Those are dollars that went to resurfacing. Sales tax in the green. Sales tax we use for construction projects. So it could go to traffic signals or matching DOT funds. So when DOT gives us a grant, they often require a match. If we can't match it with impact fees, we're going to match it with sales tax. So that's where a lot of the sales tax goes. Then the road impact fee, you can see. In fact, we had a large amount of road impact fees that came in early 2000s. And then you start seeing around 2007, it was the indicator that something was going on, that there was something happening. The road impact fees started lessening before, I guess, the rest of us knew there was something coming. So that's a good indicator sometimes. But what we have today is, the one thing that doesn't show on road impact fees, it doesn't show those developer agreements. So as far as credits that developers are pulling, it just shows the revenue and like the cash revenue that's coming in. It doesn't show the credits that are being used. So the actual impact fee is likely to be higher than what's shown on here. I didn't show that on here, but, you know, as developers build roads, and then they pull each unit, whether it's commercial, site plan, residential, they're not putting something into the county's fund, they're just drawing down their credits. So, but it works for the county, because we get a road, they have to finance the construction of the road and somehow manage to get their money back over the next so many years, or 5 or 10 years, as they build out. And then on top of that would be grants. Although we do have some grants that we got in that don't show on here. It's just the funds that came in. For instance, we got a grant last year, I believe it was $3 million federal grant for 466A. We already had a program for that, $3 million from DOT for 466A. DOT didn't like the PD&E study that was done 20 years ago by the city of Fruitland Park and requested that it be redone. So we're currently finishing up contracting to have the PD&E updated. That's $500,000 that we have to spend to satisfy DOT on that. And once we get that, then finished, it'll take about a year. Then we'll be able to draw those $6 million and get that last piece of 466A finished. So those are the kind of things that happen that don't necessarily show up on this chart. One thing I wanted to point out was the Transportation Trust Fund gas tax, what's happened to it over the years. Everybody's aware of the gas tax for the counties and cities. The DOT, you know, 30-some years ago, they indexed their fuel tax to inflation. So they're not hit by it. But counties and cities are. So what you're seeing here is what would be the purchasing power of the current pennies of gas tax that Lake County receives in today's dollars if they were 1994 purchasing power. It'd be about double what it is today. And so what's happened over the years is, you know, when I first started here, 1992, and then over the 90s, early 2000s, we had a very strong, say, Clay to Pave program. We did paved shoulders with gas tax. We did a lot of things with gas tax. But over the years, you've had to replace that with other sources. And so that's what's happened with the penny gas tax. Now, we get about 10 pennies per gallon. Some of that shared with cities. But overall, this last year, it was about 14 to 15 million in the gas tax revenues. But that's what we use primarily for operations and maintenance. So we contract out about 50% of our work for operations and maintenance for, this isn't resurfacing. The resurfacing's come out of sales tax this year and a general fund. We can no longer, we just can't use that gas tax for anything more than operations and maintenance, which is salaries, staff, administration, contract administration. I think I mentioned we put about 50% of our work out to contracts, to vendors. But that's what's happening with the gas tax, and this affects everyone. So what happens is you got inflation, but then you've also got electric vehicles. Of course, they don't buy gas, so they're riding the roads at not paying any kind of road maintenance on it, and our hybrid vehicles. So cars have got more efficient. Vehicles got more efficient over the years, quite a bit. So for that reason, you've got more cars on the road, but they're not paying per gallon, they can go further on a gallon, so is what I'm saying. So again, the factors affecting the gas tax revenues, population increased, gallons of fuel sold increased, county paved road miles went up. This is going from the year 2000 now. 19%. Fuel efficiency went up 41%. So fuel efficiency is up 41%, and that's data from the federal site. Inflation, 51% increase. So as I mentioned, so that's one of the areas we talk a lot about capacity. We need capacity on roads. We need to resurface our roads, but there's still an area of operations and maintenance that really we need to pay attention to as well. And so the list of priority projects, Jeff Earhart's going to come up. He's going to talk about the list of priority projects and how it fits in the work program. And this list is, they're not currently funded, but some may be on our impact fee program, but we're also trying to go through the Lake Sumter MPO for some of those high-dollar projects and ask for them to fund it through DOT program. And if that's the case, then we wouldn't have to fund it at an impact fee. There's plenty of projects that we need to do. So if we can find alternative funding sources through the DOT, the MPO process or grants, we want to do that. So here's Jeff.
Can I ask a question real quick, though, on the indexing to inflation? Has FAC ever taken that on, or is it just a non-starter?
Oh, yeah. Almost, I don't know, I'm not sure about this year, but every year
They try?
they try to, yeah.
Has there ever been a compromise, like, presented that maybe you don't go the whole?
I don't know. That's a good question.
It just seems like with so many transportation needs in the state of Florida, with so many people moving to Florida, local governments are really, getting hit. And
Yeah, yes, it's been a FAC issue for a number of years. I think maybe the legislator's side is they're saying it could be viewed as a tax, increase.
right, I mean,
but,
that's going to be
yeah.
the argument is that it's the consumer impact.
Even though they do it.
But they did it, and they
State
do
does
it.
Yeah.
But they're not going to allow the local roads to be able to be addressed.
Yeah, I know. That's a good question.
Maybe
I'll
somebody
find
could
out.
find a trade-off somewhere.
We'll ask about that.
I think we should ask.
Yeah.
Great question, Jeff Earhart, Engineering Director. Thank you, Fred, for that great introduction about where some of our funding comes from. I'd like to talk a little bit about the list of priority projects, which I will probably use the acronym LOP. So just get used to all my acronyms. Engineers like to use them, and see Jennifer's already heard them. I do want to introduce that I do have Mike Woods that was gracious enough to come. He's our Lake Sumter MPO Director. So Mike is right there. So any hard questions, we will certainly direct to Mike. I did want to talk a little bit. I'm trying to confuse you a little bit. We're going to talk about 3 different lists, pretty much. First of all, we developed this list of priority projects. We're going to talk about this list. This is kind of like that wish list. Everything that we might want to do, that we might want federal funding for, or DOT cooperation on, goes on this very large LOP list. DOT then takes that list and they develop a 5-year work program that they kind of go out and they kind of look over the 5 years, they allocate the monies, and we look at what projects they might want to cooperate with us on. And we submit our LOP list to MPO, they give it to DOT, they kind of come up with that. Now, in cooperation with all of that, the county also has its 5-year work program. So if the DOT gives us funding, we try to prioritize those in our 5-year work program. But there's also projects on our 5-year work program that we are doing 100% with county funding. So you have 3 different lists. You have this large LOP, you have the DOT 5-year program, and you have the county 5-year program. And so that's kind of what we're talking about today. So I hope that confuses you so you don't ask me questions. So you have this 25-year plan. You have what the county wants and the CMP. This goes into that LOP, and then that goes into the 5-year plan, kind of graphically what I just said. You agree, Mike? Yes, sir. Okay, he agrees. Just want to give us some words here to look at. So we're looking at the LOP defines what the priorities might be considered. They try to take it down to the 5-year. They also have this physically constrained, where I'm going to talk a little bit about that, as DOT looks at how much money they have. So they put together a 5-year plan, and they actually do a 30-year plan that says it's physically constrained. What can we possibly do within 30 years for funding, and then if everything on the lot might not make it onto that particular plan. So as we take a look, I kind of like this graphic. It kind of speaks to me. We see between the plan that was 25 to 45, they were guessing in the 117 million range would be the money that might be coming to work on that 20-year project. The program that they're working on now, that every year that long-range program is updated. So in 2050, they've changed that projection that there may be 44 million available. So basically, in the order of 5 years, they've reduced it by 62%, what they think that DOT or the federal government might be able to participate with the county on these particular fundings. You have the same thing on the bridges. They've reduced that about 20%. So just kind of give you a flavor of funding and how this might tie in some of the other graphics that you'll see later on. So we look at here what is the county received from DOT or from the federal governments in the coming years. You can see the first 25, 26, 27 were in that $10 million range. And then you can kind of see the 28, 29, 30, it's gone down to zero or very little. Us getting that, and that's probably related to that long-range transportation plan. It's also related to the legislature has asked DOT to prioritize resurfacing of roads and keeping the DOT roads at a certain level. So there's and then of course the gas tax information that Fred talked about. I put this one particularly on for Commissioner Morris because he likes numbers, and what I really want to focus on is that top line matches what you just saw. Then we have a lot of money that comes from impact fee districts. The rate that we're collecting is now the same in all the impact fee districts, but the South was collecting a lot more, and it still is because there's more development. Then you have some other sources of funding, and you can kind of see we got, if everything happens right this year, we got 64 million, then it goes down to 30 million, but then those outer years you see we're down in the tens of millions. Just kind of give you an idea of how that comes across. I wanted to give some optimism by showing some projects that DOT is cooperating with us on and some projects you may know about and how they are moving forward. This is Citrus Grove Road. You can see phase 3, phase 1, phase 4.1 have already been built. The road going over the turnpike, that's under construction right now. It ought to be complete in just by June, probably. And then in phase 2, we did get, well, actually, Mineola helped get $8 million from the state to help construct that. That construction should start soon, but of course, since we got the $8 million, the price on that has probably gone up to 16 or 20 million. So there's some cooperation going on there. Now, we also did get a $1 million federal government for some CEI on that project. Fred did show the picture of North Hancock. He showed how Del Webb built the first part. Richland or Sugarloaf Corporation is building the next part. We did get $2 million federal money. Federal? I believe it's federal. Could be state. Federal? Okay. And that costs about 20 million there. So that should also be done by the end of the year. I'm hopeful for like June to August for that one to be done and open. Hook Street is coming up now. We've had this on for 50-50 cooperation, about $5 million, 2.5 million from the state and about 2.5 million from us. The estimate is for construction is up in the 21 million range now for the whole bit. So we're looking at kind of do it in sections, maybe from Hancock over to Emil-Johanna as the first section. But we are cooperating. We're leveraging our funds. Here you can see Villa City Road. This is a safety project. When we asked for this money to do everything that you see, phase 1, 2, and 3 was about 3.5 million. Since then, that price has gone up to 7 million. There's not additional funding from the state or the county to meet that, so we're kind of prioritizing doing the work in those curves on Villa City Road because that's where the most accidents are occurring. You've ever heard about Eudora Road? We have a 50-50 on this, maybe a little bit more. The bid came in at 8 million. We're redesigning this and trying to make this come in a little bit more financially attractive.
Can we go back to Eudora Road?
Sure.
When are we going to stop talking about this road?
What?
It's been forever. We need to get it going.
Well, but the bid came in for $8 million.
It's Mount Dora, I know that. But
It's like more than double what it was supposed
Get
to.
it done, right? Get it done.
get it done.
Get it done. Get it done. Yeah, we're right now, we're trying to do a roundabout up north on Short Street to try to get the MOT to come down a little bit on the price. Then we'll rebid it next year.
Next year? Did you say next year?
That's what I said.
We've only been waiting 10.
I know.
If you give me $8 million, I'll build it now, you know. The Sorrento realignment, that's going on. We've gotten matching funds for the right-of-way acquisition for this particular one. The construction, our latest is $8 million. It could be higher. Some of the development out there might help when they start happening. Round Lake Road, we are getting about $13 million for this for right-of-way acquisition. We're in the middle of acquiring that. The construction on this, just to do the part that isn't built yet, is about $38 million. If you want to do the whole section from the county line up, it's about $85 million. This is where I come in and say we're going to do a bake sale. So that's my this project is, we've also been talking about a long time. This will finish the 4-laning on 466A. The federal government has given us $3.6 million. We've got about $3.6 from the state. That the county will make up the rest. They are requiring us to update the PD&E in order to accomplish that. So we're hoping that construction on this will start next fiscal year. 455, we also have we have some right-of-way money coming from DOT on this one. And we are trying to work on prioritizing that little bit of section from Lost Lake down to Johns Lake, because that's kind of been the rest of it goes down through CMEX, and we're working on the St. John's permit for that right now. So, hope that was exciting for you. It was for me. So the request, what phases of projects are we trying to construct? They don't do very many PD&Es anymore. They will fund studies, they will fund design, they will fund construction, they will fund right-of-way. That's kind of what we're looking for DOT to help us fund. And they'll fund it on most any types of projects, but they do like capacity projects, ones that decrease congestion, ones that increase safety. Those are the type of projects that we kind of like to focus on, and Mike can talk a little more of that if you have any more questions. What we're really asking today is to approve the LOP list. This is just a list off of some of your favorite projects, maybe beyond these lists. I was going to talk a little bit about them, but I think I'll just let you guys look at them. Assume you guys looked at them. The number one on the list is 44. That's the 44 in Mount Dora.
That's the one it's just so congested, and Britt Road being knocked out has made this so much worse. I get complaints about this on a regular basis.
I believe they're resurfacing it now.
Yeah, right. That
but
really
this
helps a lot. I mean, that's great, but
this is for widening.
it would be better if they took that money and used it to widen it and to get this project done. It's been on the books for many, many years. It's very frustrating.
Yes. Number 3 is sidewalks. They've all been designed. They did find one, that $800,000 in that year 3. That was for that log house sidewalk. You can see that this list also goes between Lake County and Sumter County as far as the prioritizations. Number 5 is 441. That's the widening up in Leesburg. Number 7 is the 441 widening in Mount Dora. Number 8 is the additional 2 lanes on Wellness Way going out, the Round Lake Road. This is the request for construction at $38 million. And so there's a lot of stuff. And this is what's actually made down to the top 20. And as you can see, the ones that I circled are the ones that they actually funded this last go-around. So they probably funded maybe $2 or $3 million worth of projects. So with that, I'll just kind of let you guys, this is also on the LOP list. These are just kind of the top 10 that were on the LOP list that you guys had in your things to look at. So just want to mention that partnering with DOT is extremely important. We consider them a very critical partner with getting our projects done. You've heard that funding is limited. You've saw that gas tax is limited, the money from DOT is limited, impact fees are limited, and we're trying to capitalize and leverage those funds as much as we can. We are looking at that 5-year planning horizon. So once you get on that 5 years, it's pretty optimistic. 3 years is really good. 5 years is probably going to happen. And it is an iterative process. We work together with what DOT is funding, what our priorities are, what the cities are doing. We try to work together to leverage all those funds. So with that, I'll open it up for any questions. And you guys have had the LOP list, and I think all we're doing is approving the LOP list to be transmitted to the MPL.
I just have a real quick question on our FDOT 5-year funding plan. In year 2020 this is the 5th year. 2021, this is the 4th year. 2022, this is the 3rd year. Are we tracking the funding as the years click down? I mean, we could have a 5-year plan, but if it doesn't happen in 5 years, then that plan's no good, right? So we got to be able to track it.
We have our 5-year plan. Every year, we update our 5-year plan with what DOT is funding. Yes.
Can we all get a copy of that from 2020 up to 2025?
Yes, you can.
Thank you.
You want to look at what actually happened.
Yeah, because we're getting just hit all the time about transportation, and this will help us show what's actually been funded and what's the state doing, what we're doing, and the roads that we're working on, and the plan and how it works.
Yes, sure.
Commissioner Parks?
Yeah, well, one thing, a couple maybe question points, but to what you just said, Commissioner, one thing that's been very helpful for me, particularly like with Claremont and Mineola, is Jeff and Fred will do incredible maps for you that you can give and hand to your, like, because I get a lot of questions from city council members. So you hand them the map that shows all the projects they'll do it. They're loving me for saying this. Now you got to do a bunch of more maps. But
We love maps.
You do, but it's something you hand to them and you say, here's the latest and greatest. It has when it's funded, when construction's anticipated to be started, any other information that's on, basic information about what the project is, so that might be helpful, to you and the other districts. Just putting that out there.
Yeah, I'm wondering, that's not a bad idea. I'm wondering if we can break it down to commissioner district.
Yeah, see, I know you'd love me for that. It's very helpful, though. It is. You take it to your councils. And can you put up slide 9? This might be more of a comment, but off of previous discussion. So if you see slide 9, the revenue sources, and if you had a line that was you could show the actual cost of all these projects, it would be like way above that and accelerating. The gap would be growing a lot larger, correct?
Yeah.
I mean, that's just the ability.
I can probably talk about it more, but I think that the red line is like what we think that penny would buy or that dollar would buy is the red line. But in reality, construction inflation has been higher than CPI inflation. So
But I mean, if you had an actual cost to do those projects, that line would be, it would start out there at 94, but by the time you got up to 2024 or 25, this would be like, it'd be like up here.
Yeah, we'd be off the page.
Yeah, so just to point out, and these are all the different sources, and going back to the days of, remember the Capital Facilities Improvement Board that was made up, it met many months over many years, several years, very conservative board. I mean, made up of like some of the most conservative in business minds for years, and I'll never forget, because they always said over and over again, portfolio of options. So you balance out your funding sources so they're not all in one basket like impact fees or waiting for the state to give you money. And so they recommended, and so previous conversation, MSTUs and MSBUs were a part of that recommendation even back then, as to help cover the cost, because even then there was a recognition that there's all these roads that costs that are like $700 million, and we don't, when we have such a limited ability to collect on that, to collect enough revenue to meet those project needs. So you have to diversify your portfolio of funding options. So I just never forget that was MSBUs and MSTUs weren't just as I tell people in my district, just like a Sean Parks thing that goes way back, way before me even.
Definitely.
As an option on
What do you think about putting that board back together? I reviewed what they did. It was very intensive of their thought process.
Yeah, I mean, I always like input from the business community.
I know they were frustrated a lot of it didn't get done, but
But it did in the last 3 years. We finally started pulling some out of ad valorem.
And
that's really what they
that
said.
was a big recommendation, too.
Yeah, they
That was
wanted a diverse source of revenues, and the only one that we were really missing was the ad valorem.
Right.
And we're not where we need to be, but again,
we're getting there.
It's everybody's vying for those same
Right.
dollars, but you can look at the little pink section in 22, 23, 24, and
starting to do more.
yeah, so that's just something to keep in mind as we move forward to the budget process, that up until then, we really weren't pulling anything out.
And I think that the public needs to understand that just because it's on a priority list, this is the part I didn't understand. You have a priority list, well, in business, the priority list is 1, 2, and 3. It might be moved around during the year, depending on funding. So yes, you're at priority 1, there's no funding for it. We need to do it, but we have funding for priority 3. So
And
that would be good to explain that.
It would be. And also, if I could just point out to that discussion about revenue sources, and to your point about growing and using more of the ad valorem, I think the recommendation was to eventually get up to 8% of our general fund. So this is the other side of the big growth issue and frustration with why aren't roads catching up and so on and so forth. And if we grow our economy the right way in Lake County, and we're not a board that raises tax rates and tries to look for, additional taxes and things out of that are unnecessary. But if we're able to grow our economy and we're able to stay committed to, spending 8% out of ad valorem for the roads, it'll probably help us catch up a little more.
Right, and the key to that is having commercial, industrial,
Exactly. The right
so
kind
that
of
it's not
growth.
all falling on your residents.
Absolutely.
Yeah, exactly. Who have homestead exemptions, yeah.
And what may help you is I've had Fred come to several meetings of mine to explain the road process. So maybe if you're up in your district
Well,
and they
Fred
have.
and I have a date coming up, don't we, Fred? We're going to spend an afternoon together going through.
No, I'm talking about talking to residents,
Oh,
though.
okay.
So you hold a meeting, and he'll bring in little boards and stuff and do this presentation, so it'll come out to your constituents what we're actually doing for the roads, and I've done that in the past.
Perfect. Thank you.
Just one more question, Fred, make sure he buys you lunch when he drives you around for a while. I always
I
buy
don't think
him
I can
lunch.
take that.
Hey, you buy him lunch.
There you go. I can do that. You can't.
Just a question about Jellarmy Road. What's the latest on that? What is the stage? I know that there'd been some engineering. If you look at Jellarmy Road, you'll see that traffic backs up now all the way to 27 for the three-way stop sign.
Yeah, Jellarmy's is about at the 50% level of plans. It did just get funded. That's one of the projects that DOT funded this year, and I believe it's 27 or 20, I think it's 20 to 26. I think they funded it. So now we have some cooperative funding for Jellarmy.
Okay.
So I would expect construction to happen in 26.
All right. I just wanted to ask about that.
Yeah, right, number 16, I circled it. I didn't tell you what year it was, but I'm pretty sure it's 26.
You circled it. That's why I asked. So.
I'm pretty sure it got taken off this list because we were going to do it with just county funds, but DOT did give us 50% of that, so.
Okay.
26 is when construction should start. We're still working with the HOA because we're going to have to get the right-of-way from them. Because when they gave the golf course, when the city bought the golf course, they gave it to the HOA.
That's right. That worked out. Okay. All right. Thank
You're
you.
aware of the city of Leesburg, south of the city of Leesburg, the traffic patterns, how bad they are also? I know it's State Road, right? 27?
Yeah.
And I guess the MPO is working with the state on those issues?
They're, in addition to our list that we're approving, DOT funds their own projects with this, and all that comes through, right? Yeah.
Okay.
We're also, I think we're meeting with Leesburg, is it this week? Tomorrow. We're meeting with Leesburg to talk about some of those issues tomorrow.
Just so you know, Commissioner, me and Fred spent 8 months to get a flashing light on 27 right next to Plantation. Was it 8 months or was it almost a year? Close to a year for a flashing light, so. And I'm sure that Commissioner Campion would agree with me that we sure would like to see some movement on Eudora Road.
Yep.
First time hearing this.
So the request is to approve the lot list.
No, I'm
Your
good.
question
I'm good.
answered? All right. Thank you for that.
What about Eudora? I'm just kidding.
Yes, what about Eudora Road? Okay, great. So that concludes the presentation, correct? We don't have to take action, do we? Or we do? We adopt resolution supporting Lake County list of projects, the LOP. So we need a motion.
I'll move for approval.
I'll second that approval.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Okay, great. Moving along to the county attorney's report.
If we could, we have tab 25, that was an addendum.
Oh, right, okay.
KLB.
Okay, this is on the Keep Lake Beautiful Committee, and we've got a spot for one elected municipal representative, Judith Fike, with a conflict waiver, City of Groveland council member, would fill an unexpired term ending May 31st, 2028. And then we have a group of citizen representatives, and I'm really glad that we have a lot of people who have applied. We've got some really excellent, I mean, all of them are good, really appreciate their interest. I would recommend Terry Pfister-Seuss and Mark Rabinowitz would be my recommendation.
Move to approve.
Second.
All right.
And does that include, wait a minute, yeah, Judith Fike for one?
Yeah, Judith Fike
Right, from, okay.
with the conflict waiver. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Okay.
What's the conflict waiver again, or it's like a general description, means there's something, what is it exactly?
Melanie, can you explain?
Waiver, I mean, I think I know what that means, just want to double check.
So for instance, since Ms. Fike is an elected representative and we do business with Groveland, we have interlocals and things like that, we go ahead and have them do the conflict waiver under the ethics code.
Cool, thanks.
Just to say, yeah, you just acknowledge that things could come up.
Potentially.
Yeah.
Thanks.
All right, so that was 25. We approved 24. Now we're going back to county attorney's report. County manager report.
Nothing.
Commissioner Sabatini.
Nothing for me.
Commissioner Parks.
Yes, Chair, thank you. Want to just remind everybody the Ferndale meeting is tomorrow. Tomorrow night, Wednesday night. So looking forward to that. So please come on out. Want to also say that I enjoyed Mascot's 100-year celebration this past Saturday. They did an incredible job celebrating 100. Mascot is 100 years old this year. If you missed that one, not to worry. Apparently, there'll be at least 2 more throughout the year. They're going to party all year long. So they did a great job, though. So do want to also just to give a shout out to David, who we acknowledged earlier. And he was here. Is he here? But I just want to thank for 45 years of service. Oh, he's in the back. Okay. Missing him wherever he is. Thank you very much.
He's right there through the window.
He's in the dark window.
Okay. All right. There he is. All right. That's where I thought he was. I don't know why I was looking over here. But David, thank you very much. You've done such a wonderful job, and thanks for 45 years. That's it.
Okay. And Commissioner Smith.
Yeah, I've got a couple of things. The first thing, I guess, is for Melanie or Jennifer. How are we coming along with our line item request of the constitutional budgets being put on the trim notices?
So I need to talk to the new property appraiser about that. However, I don't believe that we can put in a separate line item budget on the trim notice. I believe that is mandated by the state of what the trim notices look like. So all we can do is add the insert that explains it.
That's right. We were going to do the
Which is what we
insert.
did last year.
Yep, that's
We
what-
did the dollar bill graphic.
Yeah, we were working on something different.
We're gonna tweak it a little bit and come up with more of an explanation this year. Now that we can work on it, we have time to work on it. Last year it was kind of last minute, and we threw together kind of a tweak of the dollar bill graphic. But we're gonna have more explanation this year on the insert that goes to the property appraiser to be included with
To
it.
be inserted in.
So it's not actually on the trim notice; it's just accompanied.
That's fine, as long as the citizens know
Right.
where their money's going. That's all I care about.
Right.
Thank you for asking about that.
I would say that I would have joined Commissioner Parks on Saturday, but I had a wonderful day at the City of Tavares for their Arbor Day celebration. City of Tavares,
Do you plant any trees?
I got 2 trees. It's too cold to plant them right now, so they're tightly nestled in a nice little warm place, getting watered. It's I got a couple of crepe myrtles. Very happy. It was very informative. They had owls out there and birds and explaining what the birds do and how they hunt. And so next year, if you have the opportunity to go to Arbor Day, I would highly suggest it. I had a meeting with Go Sports. That was very productive. That's going to be coming up to the commission here pretty soon. I also had a meeting with the hoteliers within Lake County, and more information is coming on that. Some of the things that we're doing with them. Had a meeting with LSSC, Lake Sumter State College, on moving forward on a couple of plans with them. I met with the Lake County Rowing Association and with the Economic Development, Ryan Ritchie. We have big opportunities to bring something national here to Lake County through the Lake County Rowing Association. Could be a permanent thing for us, which would be very exciting and would absolutely ramp up some of our economic development efforts here in Lake County. As you know, I'm on the TDC board, so that's why I'm highly in tune with that. Let's see here. I met with Homes in Partnership on some of the initiatives they're doing. An extremely interesting organization, and it's good to get to know a little bit more about what they do. And that's it until my last thing.
All right. Commissioner Morris.
Well, Mascot, I was down at Mascot the afternoon. I guess, Sean, you had the morning. I had the afternoon, and all I could figure out at the petting zoo is that my new granddaughter is probably going to have a turtle. Thank God she did not want a pony, but the turtle she really liked. But they were really excited that we would spend the time down there with them, and it was an exciting time. I'm glad they're going to go over a year celebrating it. Lake Sumter State College, I had a meeting also with them regarding the Legends Way fields. We're trying to come with some kind of scenario that is a win-win for everybody, including the county. So I don't want to step on Commissioner Smith's toes, but I had the relationship there serving on the board of trustees, so I kind of pushed a little harder that way. Met with the sheriff. It was very informative. We did go through the budget, and I think that we've got an analysis that's coming to us that's going to be a little different than it has been in the past. There are a lot of things that our sheriff gets blamed for that he has no control over. So the dollar bill might be split up a little differently this year, possibly. I asked them to come with additional information to help explain their budget process. Lastly, secondly, affordable housing. That's a very passionate committee, I will say. Very, very good meeting. And lastly, Mr. Salinas, I cannot thank you enough for fielding all of the debris questions and taking me out of the hot seat. But you did a great job. Thank you.
Great. And I just wanted to mention that I had gone to the Martin Luther King breakfast celebration over in Leesburg, and they just did an outstanding job. The school board superintendent, Diane Cornegay, was there. She spoke. The speaker this year was phenomenal. Just everything about it was exceptional. Really enjoyed it and was glad to be there representing you all, and read our proclamation at the event on behalf of the whole commission. So now I will kick it back to Commissioner Smith to tell us what today is.
So I think Commissioner Morris will be very happy with this. Today, since you brought up your granddaughter's new pet, today is Dress Up Your Pet Day.
Right.
So put a bow tie on the turtle and let's go.
Where do you find these? I'm so curious.
Oh, is it?
He won't give up his.
That's, yeah. It's,
And is it an official list? Is it an official list? Do we need to approve that as
probably.
It's the Commissioner Smith list. Okay, everybody. Well, appreciate it. Good meeting. And we're getting out before 11 o'clock, which is, do I get kudos for that, Commissioner Smith? Yeah. All right. Okay, we stand adjourned.